Good morning and happy holidays from sunny Buffalo. I'm Mike Shope. It's ADP Chasing. Christmas time is here. Happiness and cheer. Maybe. Let's find out. Fully prepared after almost 2 years of waiting on him, but tonight needing to fade him to get buried by Kendre Miller. Let's see where we're staying going into the only thing that matters, Week 17, with our heroes, Pat Carrane and Davis Maddock. I'm Mike. Thanks for being with us. It's ADP Chasing, December 23rd, 2024.
ADP Chasing is for when you watch Chip Chasing, you go, these guys are just football guys.
And the targets per outrun leagues, that's going to be really nice.
Actually, back in if it's Achane.
Stare into our crystal ball. Close your eyes, all your entries are going to lose anyway.
Yeah, that's fair.
This is a Deuce Vaughn show.
It's anti-cabal. It's the best ball thought leaders. I'm obviously lying to some degree because, I have a lot of both of these guys.
It's the most disgusting pick you can make. But, man.
Welcome. Hi, guys. Pat, new look.
Yeah, I'm at my parents' place, so this is my English professor father's study.
I was going to say, you absolutely look like you were in a professor's study right now.
I am. That's exactly where I am.
Pat?
Delaware.
Love it. Davis, ever been?
I've driven through it.
You gotta visit Delaware, David.
Yeah, gotta visit Delaware.
How do you drive through Delaware? Where are you ending up?
Yeah. It only takes a couple minutes.
I mean, you go past Philadelphia, you're in Delaware, then it's the ocean. I don't know where you're going if you've driven through Delaware and not.
Maybe I haven't. I've driven to upstate New York before though. And I think we went through Delaware. But it's been a long time.
It seems like it seems like you must have gone directly to the sea and then up.
Yeah, I think you got lost. What happened there? But...
Fair.
Guys, how are we looking or feeling going into Week 17? Davis, I've been watching you, of course, and listening all year, and it's been, kind of like this is not going to be my year. Are you hopeful for anything? What have you got?
I've got a couple teams in the peasant contests. There are contests I've made the finals that if I win, I will still be in the red on the year, which is a good bit. My two best teams in contests that I cared about ran into Jonathan Taylor. So
wow.
Nothing you can do about that. The game is the game.
You weren't even worried about him, probably. It was Barkley. Barkley could bounce back. Derrick Henry, the guys we talked about last week. But was anybody?
I just watched him score 40, and I'm still not worried about him. I just watched him score 40, and I'm like, well,
No,
I'd play that slate again.
I had him on a couple teams, and I was pretty psyched about him. I think he pairs really well with Jalen Hurts. That's who you want. You want Jonathan Taylor. All of your Jonathan Taylor for some reason to be paired with Jalen Hurts. Did not.
I won a team with that combo. I won with the team with that combo.
Wow.
I
started rooting against one that was that combo because the other quarterback was Kirk Cousins, and I was like, I can't handle the pain of showing up to Week 17 without a quarterback.
Well, what did they give you? Hurts gave you 4 point something, and Taylor gave you 40, and so split that down the middle. You're happy with both guys.
It's true, I guess.
Right?
Yeah.
But have you looked at the? Sorry if this is just a needle, but have you looked at the main event leaderboard at all?
I looked.
No.
I looked last night because we had a team score 190 in the sprint. I was like, is it even possible? Are we going to even make any money? And we need 190 again next week to ladder up to any meaningful money. Why is Go Bills up there? Are you up there? Who are we looking at?
Unfortunately, neither, but here's Go Bills. They won back-to-back. I get a text this morning from Nick, and he's like, Buffalo guys are in second. And, it's not him this time, but it's still good. But they just put up back-to-back 200-point weeks and are losing ground. The first place team, it's called Queen's Gambit. I don't know them.
Yeah, I don't know that person.
Who that is, but literally, this is amazing, I think. Josh Allen was their lowest scoring player yesterday.
Wow.
At 13, right? I mean, the Aubrey, Atlanta, and just, Jonnu maybe, Chuba maybe, he was literally their lowest scoring guy, and they're up maybe 25 going into next week. Pretty good.
Pretty good.
Yeah, it's just like I am already so mentally removed from this current season that's happening. Like I fast forwarded to 2025 about 6 weeks ago. So
yeah. I had a bunch of stuff. So it looks like I'll make like the puppy final. We'll see. There's like I'm kind of in Davis' boat where I'm looking at some smaller stake stuff. I was talking to Sacrilegious. He's kind of in the same boat. Given how bad the season was in certain ways, it does feel nice to like have teams that are structured well. Like I'm like, all right, well, at least like these teams are structured to put up points in a single week the way I was hoping. But I had a lot of stuff just like that was close and won't get through. So yesterday was pretty.
If you told me
rough.
that Chase Brown was projected for 24 points in week 16, I probably would have assumed I was having the greatest year in the history of best ball. So
man, I was watching you last night. Look at that guy, Davis. I mean, come on. Let's celebrate Chase Brown once again.
It would be really interesting. I actually just tweeted this because I saw a tweet about his pass blocking. Let's say they just bring in a Zach Moss part 2. They just do the exact same thing again. I think he's probably a top 15 pick in best ball next year. Now, if they take one of these Ohio State guys in the draft, someone fun, if they bring in someone good, but if it's, I don't know, who's 2025 Zach Moss? What if they just bring Zach Moss back?
Zach Moss.
They could do that. Yeah.
I mean,
who was 2025 Zach Moss?
While you guys ponder that, I don't know. What if you're Cincinnati? What do you want to be doing in the draft? Defense. I mean, that's been they're having MVP caliber, offensive player of the year caliber player, seasons, and they're
here's
losing.
The thing: they are not going to have the luxury of doing so because they whiffed on Burton. T. Higgins is going to be gone. They don't have the luxury of doing that. They will. Joe Goodberry tweeted this last night. He's really good on just all Bengal stuff. He'd be the voice. Yeah. They basically cost.
He's a Buffalo guy too, by the way.
He is a Buffalo guy. They basically cost themselves a starter on offense or defense in terms of salary cap dollars by not just paying Chase when they were first able to pay Chase, by haggling with Chase and not giving him what he wanted in this offseason. They cost themselves a starter's worth of salary cap while also not paying T. Higgins.
By the way, I found 2025 Zach Moss.
Hit me.
Najee Harris.
Oh no, he will be undraftable if they sign Najee Harris. He will be. They will. Zach Taylor would be ready to give Najee Harris more touches per game than Chase Brown.
If you guys were the Bengals though, and you had whatever limitations we think they have in terms of dollars, what would you do? The story of their season is still. They're not out of it yet, by the way. They played Denver on Saturday. Like they're a lot more live than the Colts and Dolphins. It was a good weekend for them.
They have to win out, and the Broncos have to lose to the Chiefs in Week 18, and the Chiefs are probably going to be resting guys then. So it's probably dead, but they just have to win this week. So the story of their season, I mean, sure, it's the defense, but it's not really. The story of their season, 10-16 against the Patriots. 30 the horrible overtime loss to the Ravens when they were way up, horrible loss to the Eagles, horrible loss to the Chargers, horrible loss to the Steelers, where I mean they were just like if they just not idiots, if they just manage the game well. But they had the kickers miss against the Chargers. Like really, honestly, if they just win that Patriots game, just win the Patriots game. You're in the playoffs if you just win the Patriots game.
Week 1.
That's crazy.
Well, I'm trying to think like an NFL team, and I think what everybody will say about Cincinnati is their defense was terrible, their offense was great, Chase Brown was great. They're not going to put anybody in there next to him that would threaten him after what this season has been so far. It's got to be way worse than that.
Teams always do this.
That's not really.
Teams always do. Dameon Pierce, unbelievable.
You're thinking like a fantasy player.
Yeah,
I think NFL teams are always.
For once? Okay.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
I'm just so battered by the years of like, oh, this guy showed that he's great, so therefore he'll be their lead back next. And it's like, no, we're gonna take a guy in the second round. Like what?
I would say he's 50-50 to like outright not be fantasy relevant next year. Like just outright like by like week 5 is not even on rosters.
And this is the day I realize that I'll be drafting a ton of them.
And this is coming from someone who like literally like would not shut up about Chase Brown. He's Canadian. He's handsome. His brother's in the NFL. He's like a cool, but yeah, I would say he is. I mean, Damian Pierce, Philip Lindsay, like just name guys.
They tried to do it to Chuba.
They tried to do it. They literally
round.
tried to do it to Chuba.
Yeah.
How did that go?
Well, I mean, that would be ideal for Chase Brown. Draft a guy in the second round who doesn't play more than 100 snaps.
Five
that's
snaps.
great.
I was going to say, yeah. What about Chase Brown being Canadian makes you like him more? By the way.
I just like Canadians.
Me too.
Maybe it's the Jacob Sanderson impact. I like the idea of a Canadian NFL player because I'm like, you had to have had a crazy upbringing to be Canadian and play American professional football.
Well, Claypool. Unfortunately.
Good comment here, Algier.
Yeah, there you go.
Algier. We completely forget Algier.
Yeah, Algier had 1,000 yards, and then they said, you know what this team needs? A 7th overall pick at running back. That's what we need.
He still is awesome too. Like, there's no reason for them to draft a Bijan.
Yeah, none.
And Bijan's amazing, but it's just I don't know. That's NFL teams.
It's just that we're always learning and it's always evolving, and it is still the Bengals, but there's just no way they would threaten Chase Brown after the season they just had. Like, I don't know. When can we start drafting next year? Today? Can we do that? Can we just skip the playoffs and start
Big
doing
Board's
that?
probably going to launch later today.
Big
yeah.
Board, big
is that right?
Soon.
No. But it'll launch sooner than I would prefer as a content guy.
Who's the 101?
Are you kidding me, dude? I'm chomping at the bit. Barkley. I mean, I'm not saying Barkley should be, but Barkley will be.
Barkley will be the 101.
I think what's Jefferson or Chase, but
I
think Jefferson, you have the quarterback stuff again. I think we're gonna do that conversation again.
But we shouldn't.
We shouldn't, but we will. I mean, look, they are most likely moving away from Darnold to a rookie who didn't throw a ton in college. And although Darnold has played awesome and kind of seems to show anyone can play awesome in Kevin O'Connell's system, it could be worse moving to JJ McCarthy. And it wasn't great for Jefferson all year. He's had some good games down the stretch, thankfully.
Isn't that, by the way, just what you said? Isn't that the most disgusting thing you've ever heard? That the man who is currently second in the NFL in receiving yards has 10 touchdowns. Like, dude, pretty down year. Pretty down year.
Good.
I think he's
Chase. Maybe, but Chase is going to have Burrow. Has also had an incredible year, an incredible second half of the season.
Or Algier to fight with for touchdown.
Yeah. Well, he probably won't have T. Higgins to fight with.
You know, the very interesting thing though is like how much of this Viking stuff, their defense, how much of it is smoke and mirrors? Like, oh, you get Van Ginkel, who was like kind of done in Miami. They didn't even want him back, and he's like I believe he's second right now in Defensive Player of the Year odds. Like, it's not like they have blue chip players. They have one of their safeties is like 40. He just plays every down. Harrison Smith. Like, how much of this defense? Because remember, a year ago we were like, oh, you want every Viking because they have the worst defense imaginable. They just play in a dome. They give up 40 every game, and we know defenses are not sticky year to year. You know what I'm saying?
Right,
like that happens all the time. Teams are like, oh, we have this great defense, time to build. Oh, our defense is terrible. We gave up 35 again.
Jets.
You know?
You're talking about the Jets. and
Bengals.
Other teams.
The Bengals are supposed to be a good defense.
That's true. Yeah.
Lou Amorano was getting head coach interviews.
I know. You know who probably won't get head coach interviews though is Brian Flores. Or if he does,
no
him as a head coach.
No.
So
yeah,
so you do at least have Flores coming back, probably, which is big.
He's like Spagnuolo, where he was just such an unqualified disaster that you just stand put.
Yeah.
Consider Jefferson though. So last year or in the spring, we're talking about, does he get paid? What is the quarterback thing going to be? And he easily rose above all of it. I mean, I think that's the right point is he he's going to have 1,500 yards again. Like
he's gonna have 1,500 yards and 12 touchdowns. Yeah.
I mean, what is he going to have next year then? Like, is it going to get worse? Is McCarthy worse? Is Darnold maybe still there?
You could.
They have the great defense.
Worse quarterback play could maybe be better for him volume wise, because what's happened in a ton of these games, Darnold has he's got more games with less than 31 pass attempts than games with more, whereas like McCarthy, if the defense is worse and you're kind of punting or just like turning the ball over.
I know. And they played the AFC South like
next year.
No, this year. I mean, they had games back to back, 3 in a row. They went to Jacksonville, Tennessee, and Chicago, and overcame all of that. Josh Dobbs, right? Weren't we talking about that too? Trying to build a case for Jefferson. You guys were into it, like Dobbs and Mullins and these bozos, and now you've got steady. The defense is better. It's still an A+.
Yeah, I think what'll be interesting to see, because Aaron Jones is a free agent. So what do they do at running back? Because if they
are not paying him. No
Tyler
chance.
Algier.
They're not paying him. If they bring in a Najee, if they bring in a Najee, I won't care. But if they bring in like a rookie, if they spend like good capital on a rookie, the free agent class at running back is pretty bad.
It's like an all-time draft class at running. I'm getting a lot of I follow a lot of Vikings guys, and they all want to take Gene T.
So that's kind of the thing. Like if they were to take Gene T, that's where I would start to get concerned about like what is this offense trying to be next year with a guy who's functionally a rookie at quarterback. They just might. I don't think O'Connell's going to go like run heavy, but he might stop being so pass heavy.
Is early draft capital running back maybe back then next year with what's happened in the league this year with the stars who were sort of left for dead and now are back and thriving? The quarterback pool is not as great. Are we going to see over under 1.5 running backs picked in the first round?
Oh, way over. Wait, like
I thought we were done with that though.
No.
What?
As a league.
So who are the other guys that you're really excited about this? Because I ran my early stuff just to get a feel for the class.
NFL draft, not
NFL draft. Sorry.
No, it'll be one guy. One
Gene T, right? Okay.
Yes.
Because Gene T looks like awesome in my stuff. I was like, okay, so that's nice. It's nice that like the guy everyone's super psyched about. I'm going to be excited about too, most likely. But the other guys kind of look fine, like a bunch of like second round dynasty pick types.
The thing is that there's like in a normal year there may be like 5 guys who are fine. There are like 12 guys who are fine.
Okay.
Amari and Hampton. I think Caleb Johnson could potentially be a first round pick. The Tennessee guy. They have the two Ohio State guys that are going to be weird to analyze because they played together. Well, So Henderson and Judkins. Then you've got like interesting kind of gadget guys like Devin Neal and Brashard Smith, and that's like not even getting into like the Penn State guys who were Singleton was a 5-star high school guy who's going to be an early declare and was awesome, but he was with another high school 5-star guy who's a sophomore, Katron Allen, so he split. Wow. Then I think there could legit be like maybe like 15 running backs that go.
Okay, so it's like
100.
Very quality depth is
yes.
It's Gene T plus very quality depth. Okay.
Well, then more than one is going in the first round.
Ollie Gordon was the number 1 or was the number 2 prospect when the year started, and then he was like the worst running back in college football this worst recent year. Kind of like Chuba Hubbard, by the way. Remember, Hubbard cost himself a ton of money going back to school at Oklahoma State. So there's like that. Jonah Coleman. A lot of people love Jonah Coleman. He's like a pass catcher who runs a 4. It's just like, it's unbelievable. There's a lot of guys.
People in the chat are saying like all these dudes you haven't even said yet. So I think depth does seem good.
Cam Scatabo, everyone is gonna love. I mean, he's gonna be the new Dylan Laube. He's like not gonna play, but someone in all of your rookie drafts is taking Cam Scatabo in the 3rd round. They're with the 304. They're taking Cam Scatabo, even though he's never gonna play.
Well, we don't know how this NFL season ends yet, but It's been our topic, fantasy football's favorite topic, even if we hate it this year, has been the resurgence of the veteran running backs. And aren't NFL teams going to sort of pay attention? I mean, you've got look at the quarterback landscape right now. The rookies from 2024. Maybe it's even also Penix. It's certainly Bo Nix. It's certainly Jayden Daniels. It's got to be Drake May. Williams at the 101, we'll see. But so many teams, maybe Indianapolis, I don't know, but so many of these teams are kind of locked in. They've paid their money for the mid-veteran guys like Tua, Goff. I mean, Darnold will get paid, Baker. The supply isn't there coming out of this draft, but most teams are in pretty good shape. You have teams that'll be drafting Carolina super early in the draft New England that really don't need that quarterback anyway. Maybe what the takeaway from this season is in terms of the NFL draft is you've got this running back pool that you're laying out, Davis, and we've seen it work for Philadelphia. We've seen, we think, benefit Baltimore, some of the top guys, Houston, and let's go do that. Let's try that now. And what else is there, right? Are we going to talk about the importance of linebackers again or offensive linemen again? I mean,
hey, linebackers are kind of having a resurgence, by the way.
Linebackers are back.
I think the thing with the NFL, like the conversation around running back, like they've always been, they're kind of like a closer in baseball or something. Like they add something, but they're not taking, they might take a great roster over the top, or like if you have everything in place.
And also having a bad
DeAndre
one.
Swift or Saquon Barkley, choose Barkley. He's like, we clearly, right? But like, if you have, the Giants, should the Giants have re-signed Barkley? Would they be any better? They wouldn't be any better. Would they have won like one more game? Like maybe one?
Probably. They probably win one more game. Put themselves in a spot where they can't take Cam Ward and they have to trade up or something.
Yeah, exactly. It would cost themselves a franchise quarterback maybe. So that's where I think the free agent thing I feel like we went too far on running backs in free agency than the draft. Because in the draft, the trouble with the draft is you're now taking shots that you get at positions, especially if we're talking like, okay, running backs back in the early part of the draft. Like you have a shot to draft a franchise tackle, an edge rusher, stuff that doesn't really come around in free agency. Like you don't get
good tackles don't show up. Agency.
Yeah. Edge rushers you can find, but it's like, it's tough.
And you only get them for a little while, and you have to pay crazy.
Crazy. They're like coming off a bad season or old or something.
Both of our teams have done this. The Bills and the Chiefs have had to try and figure out edge rushers and have like super swung and miss. Traded a first round pick for Frank Clark, who stinks. Paid an arm and a leg for Von Miller, who stinks. Can't play anymore.
Next up is Myles Garrett. He'll get traded, right? And he's kind of cheap actually for his value.
He deserves it. That's a good chief. Miles, you would be a good chief. By the way, I meant to tell you guys this, or I just wanted to bring this up on a show. That Texans game, that was the first time all year I was like, this is the Chiefs.
You're back.
It's like I was ready for them to lose a home playoff game to the Steelers. And I watched that game and I'm like, oh, this actually makes so much more sense when there's three guys on the field who can get open. Like subbing out Justin Watson for Hollywood Brown, that's like subbing me out for Peter Overzet. You're getting the real thing right there.
Well,
that's like that elevates.
You had to Pete right there.
Dude. I mean, am I alone? Am I alone in this? Like I thought watching that game, I was like, this is what it was supposed to look like the whole year.
I didn't see much of it. They threw a deep ball to Watson that didn't work out. I mean, when I heard his name on the radio,
was wide open on that play, by the way.
Was he?
Wide open. Yeah.
Well,
on the early round stuff from next year, where do you guys think Bijan will go?
Early, really early.
I think he has a case for if we're talking about 101 candidates, he should be in the mix.
I wholeheartedly, especially because Penix looked pretty solid. Like we can expect Penix to be better than Cousins was. Yeah.
You also don't want a quarterback to be too good. For the 101 style running back, you want the offense to be built around the running back. And if you don't do that after the quarterback's great.
Yeah.
So I think Bijan, because he started slow and he looked kind of bad early, Like what he's doing is really, really impressive. And
he's been awesome. He's sent Algier to the woodshed.
Yeah. So I think like next year could be Bijan's year. I think I'll pay whatever I'm asked to pay.
How about this? If you put Barkley in McCaffrey's slot, which is the usual 101, how different does the first round even look? I mean, you've got Jefferson and Chase, you've got Bijan and Breece Hall, you've got Amon-Ra St. Brown. Then you get to the end and it's Jonathan Taylor.
Hall and Tyreek are gone.
Puka's up.
It's pretty similar though for year to year, isn't it?
Stafford retires?
Oh, sure. If Stafford retires, then
we've been doing the Stafford retirement thing for 2 years, but also I think there's a pretty good lesson to learn from Rodgers and Cousins this year. Not just the Achilles thing, but just like quarterbacks at a certain point when you lose any ability to move, when you like truly are basically just a trebuchet, you're just wheeled out and you have to sit and launch the floor.
You have that in one of those books, Pat, that word? You have that?
This is actually the history of trebuchets right behind my shoulder here.
The floor for all the surrounding players just goes to zero. Just go like if your quarterback cannot complete like the classic NFL good quarterback play, like can you throw the 7-yard out to the sideline and you're not worried about it getting intercepted? If you lose that ability, by the way, Gibbs, Montgomery's going to be, I know they extended him. Montgomery's going to be 29 coming off of an injury. It sounds like he's going to try and play in the playoffs, which it just feels misguided to me. But I mean, obviously, like you don't want to.
So if he's playing on it, then that means he's not. Yeah, it does sound misguided to me too. But if he doesn't get surgery, here's what's probably likely to happen. If he plays on it, he's going to look bad.
He's going to look terrible. Yeah.
And so we'll just be like Montgomery's done. Whether or not he is done, whether or not he's going to look good next year, we will decide he's done probably, right? Knowing us. And
10th round Montgomery.
Gibbs will be
send me
10th round Montgomery. Even I mean, at that point, he's a contingent play.
Yeah.
Gibbs will probably. You're right. Gibbs will be in the 101 conversation.
That was my instinct last week. The Montgomery news came out when we were talking, and like MCL doesn't seem like it has to be over, but maybe it won't be. For a running back, it's one thing. Quarterbacks have had that injury, and they're back in a month and are functional.
How about DeVon Achane? He's like legitimately going to have 90 receptions. He looked awful all year. That's the crazy thing is he just like, dude, he's been Najee goddamn Harris this year.
You know what we're going to do, Davis? His ADP is not going to change by even a pick, but a whole different group is going to draft him. Like we're coming out of the mine, and then the boomers come in and like volume, baby.
But okay, but you can imagine what Achane getting half of the, like not all of it. He's not going to average 7.8 yards per carry or whatever. But imagine if he had this volume season with half of last year's efficiency.
Oh yeah.
Then you're talking about a guy who'd be back in the 101 conversation.
Agreed. And I mean, he was so good 2 years ago. I guess I'd be very curious to see like what they do with their offensive line and stuff.
That's so bad.
It's so bad. Like their whole offense is really geared around not having an offensive line. Like they pass so quick. That's why Jonnu's gotten so much volume. Like they have to get the ball. It's killed Tyreek's efficiency, Waddle's efficiency. Like, so yeah. Honestly, I would say that the same for the Rams. Like Stafford, I think, has actually had kind of an impressive year given how bad their pass protection is. He's had to get the ball out quickly. I wish he was more of a trebuchet, right? A trebuchet would have time to step back and fire some deep throws. He's been more trying to get the ball out quick. Not that high of an ADOT, all that. So
trebuchet is the what of cromulence. We have to figure that out before we're done. You
need cromulence for a functional trebuchet, I think. Is
no,
that was my yearbook quote. Actually,
you're mixing it up. You can't compare an adjective to a verb.
Oh, well,
there's also a book about that behind me.
I'll get out of your way. What's James Cook? 14 rushing touchdowns.
Let me tell you a guy I will have 0 of. 2-3 James Cook.
James Cook is going to be a 6th round pick on Underdog and a 2nd round pick on FFPC.
Laugh all you want. That's winning. this year.
No, Joe, I don't even think you believe that. He doesn't even play half the snaps, dude.
Yeah, I just have never bought in on Cook, but it's happening. Like, what? I mean,
It sounds like you bought in now.
I've pushed in now. Like, it's
okay.
It's 14 rushing touchdowns. You could very well set the franchise record. And Allen is still running for 11 and doing his thing. But you're getting these, like yesterday. You're getting these sort of random 45-yard touchdown bursts from Cook. He's good enough to do that. Allen is such a threat that it sets up great for him. I mean, it's there. So good for him.
They strike me as a team that will draft somebody.
Well, they've done
Ty
that
Johnson's
a lot.
30, I think.
Right.
They drafted Davis this year.
Yeah.
He's here already.
And he seems fine. They definitely don't need to, but they probably will. In a deep class, they're like, let's see if we can find that hammer. I could see them looking for that. Because Cook has been the kind of a hammer, but he isn't. He's like a screwdriver they used as a hammer.
He's a pickaxe.
What is Travis Hunter's opening big board ADP going to be? Travis Hunter is wide receiver what in what round in the big board?
I mean, is he even a wide receiver?
So
he's
regardless, no. Come on. That is so disrespectful to Travis Hunter. Hunter is probably better at wide receiver than defensive back. But the thing is that a shutdown corner is like one of the most valuable things to find in the NFL.
Hasn't he also been really good as a cornerback this year? Like
he's
better
like,
than people
he's
thought
like
he
the
would
third best guy in the country at both things.
Wow.
I mean, he says, Dion says, Shadur says, they all say, if you're not letting him do both, don't take him. He is not signing up to only do one or the other. The thing you have to ask yourself is what makes more sense? A rotational nickel corner or a rotational third wide receiver who runs 30% of the routes and is like a big
rotational third wide receiver.
It's a rotational third wide receiver, which makes way more sense.
Way more sense. I mean, think about all like the coverages and stuff. You can't just have like a guy who's like kind of like half.
He's going to a bad team
on screens, and you can have packages. Like he doesn't need to know everything on offense.
Here's the deal, though. Teams always say this. Crane, you guys can show up. You guys been around football a long time. What do guys always say? A wide receiver goes and runs a 9 route and is beat. He doesn't really have anyone to tag him out. You don't really want Justin Jefferson running a 9 route and then going to tag out for Jalen Naylor. The defensive back, unless he's Darrelle Revis, just tag him out. Just tag him out. You just go to the sideline and say, I'm beat. I need a snap off. That can give you leeway both ways, right? Like imagine Travis, I don't know. Let's look at Tankathon. Imagine Travis Hunter gets drafted by it would actually be hilarious if he went to the Bears. Let's say the Jets. Garrett Wilson goes and runs a 9 route. He's like, I'm beat, dude. Travis Hunter comes in and he just only gets like good routes. He's getting about 32% of the routes and he's playing about 70% of the snaps on defense, but they're just all good routes.
Yeah, he's Kadarius Toney, but not Toney. Because he's impossible to deal with, but because he plays cornerback at a high level. That's what he is, right? He's actually in the team's good graces, but only runs 30% of the routes with a high.
It's just a matter of will 2025 be a slappy year? Because Travis Hunter will be the slappiest pick on the board at wide receiver. Because there's so few scenarios where you're getting a full-time wide receiver. Like really,
he's going to a terrible team, almost definitely. Like, do they have a quarterback situation that's anything? Like, he goes to the Bears, I don't know, but do they have a problem?
Best case, I think he goes to Cleveland and Jameis plays all year. That's like kind of that's like best case.
Don't you think Cleveland is already done all year?
Like, what did the rest of the quarterbacks like go on strike? Like, Jameis can't play a full year anymore. Like, he just got benched for DTR.
I think they're done with him, Cleveland.
Yeah.
But what about Carolina? They're kind of interesting for this. Like, Carolina could be a team where he does both. I think a bad team would sooner put him on defense, and then eventually you get good and you mix him in. He's not going to be the Chiefs drafting CEH or something like this, where you have honestly, all right, we'll just see what happens.
Seeing comments, Pats is the dream. Best case is Panthers or Patriots. I like as someone who's like I don't really have that much Drake May in Dynasty, so I shouldn't be like invested in him for his entire career. But I am. I was all in on him as a rookie, and emotionally, I want this guy to succeed, and I think he looks really good. So I want him to get some weapons. Give me Ted McMillan, man. Don't give me Travis Hunter. Don't do it to me. I have no interest because he's probably going to be a cornerback, and if he's not a cornerback, he's a wide receiver who's spending like half his time or a third of his time with the defensive backs or whatever. Like
backs.
I want a wide receiver who's spending 100% of his time thinking about how to be an offensive weapon.
Unless Pat, this guy is an alien, and imagine Randy Moss decided I also want to be an all-world defensive back. Like okay, I'm not saying he is that. I'm just saying, like, based on what I watched him do in college, it's at least possible that he is actually like.
Okay. I mean, that would be really fun. Like, my hope is that Travis Hunter goes to a quarterback I'm not emotionally invested in, and then is a superstar. That would be great for the league. But I don't want to take the chance.
Someone moves heaven and earth. A good team moves heaven and earth to get him. Like, imagine he is a commander. Commander would actually be great because they need both things so bad.
Dude, a third rotational guy on the Commanders, we'd be into that.
I know, but they're going to draft 23rd, right? Like, who is it?
I'm saying you move up to the Titans pick and you give them 3 firsts or like 2 firsts and a second and a 4th or something.
Travis Hunter feels like a Jaguar to me.
Nothing is. You've never said anything more accurate in your life.
That's really.
He's a Jaguar and he suffers a Liz Frank injury training camp.
Come on, man.
You have to. Liz Frank is the bunch of crumb. The Jalen Hurts injury. I'll get back to that. No, or I won't. The Jalen Hurts injury means what here? I mean, it's maybe not. Is he going to miss this week or no? What do we think?
Well, it means Kenny Pickett's not getting a new contract. Kenny Pickett, his dream of just quietly playing behind Jalen Hurts and us hearing what great guy he is in meetings and then going to be someone's starter is not happening.
He did make a couple throws. I was like,
he made a couple throws. He did make a couple throws. Yeah.
How do you like Washington turning the ball over 5 times and still beating
winning.
The Eagles?
Yeah.
The Commanders are a deeply unserious team outside of the one guy, and it just shows the value in having the one guy. Like that guy has turned
Cliff
around.
Kingsbury really knows his stuff.
I think Rotopat has been tweeting about this a lot. The way that Jayden Daniels' teammates talk about him, it is as if they have met the Lord. It is as if they have had a religious experience being in the huddle with Jayden Daniels.
That is no small thing. I have the privilege of talking to Ross Tucker every Tuesday on my show in Buffalo. And he had a short career. He played for the Bills, he played for Dallas and Washington, and he finished his career with New England. And we were talking about whether it was Allen, I think it might have been about Jayden Daniels. And he said, you cannot overstate the effect that the confidence a team has, the players, one by one, when they feel like they have the quarterback right, when they have somebody 100%. Who could just win games for them. You cannot overstate that. When he went to play with Brady after having played for Buffalo and Washington, like just this is so different. You've just got everybody in here knows we can really win. And Washington reminds me of that comment, what you're saying about Daniels. Is it live? Is it potentially live for this year? I mean,
win the Super Bowl? No, they're too shit. They're too shitty. They just have like shitty players everywhere. Like Jamison Crowder was playing a big part in that game yesterday.
I know. But what's their, thinking of maybe in terms of the playoff best ball drafts, we're another week in here and Detroit lost. They have 15 players, defensive players on IR. Is it like just pretty vulnerable looking? Minnesota and the Eagles, Washington as the 7 is going to one of those teams. Is it something like, would you dabble with Washington in these drafts? I guess that's the question I want to ask.
Gotta like them more than the Bucs now, right?
Yeah. I mean, You have to, yeah. I mean, the Bucks really hurt themselves.
The Bucks actually need the Commanders to win this week after what they did last night.
They play Atlanta Sunday night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Biggest thing in playoff best ball from yesterday is the Rams. Every outcome was good for the Rams. Seahawks lost. The Cardinals lost. The Rams won a game they could have easily lost.
Niners are out.
I think the Rams. What was it? If the Seahawks lose next week, I think the Rams are in because the Rams own tiebreakers over the Seahawks. So if the Seahawks lose one of the next two, then the Rams are in, and the Rams play the Seahawks in one of those games. So the Rams control their own destiny, but they're even better than that. Like they might not even have to beat the Seahawks and still get in. The Rams are in a much, much better spot than they were starting the week.
Don't forget, you already know the Week 17 schedule. So just, fall back on what we've learned.
I
kind of forgot it.
I forgot a couple of them already because I'm memorizing who's likely to play who in playoff best ball. I'm like, you don't really want the NFC South winner for you don't want Buccaneers or Falcons with the Packers because they're likely to play each other.
Yeah.
Well, like the Rams look like they're going to be the 3, which is incredible. Right. Playing Green Bay.
They were about to trade Cooper Kupp away, and then Cooper Kupp and Matt Stafford had breakfast together, and they were like, what?
They got one breakfast.
We got one. We got one last job to do. You guys remember that? They were about to trade Cooper Kupp.
No, I always thought that was a lie. Like the way McVay plays the media. So like that morning was a Thursday night game. Was it Minnesota? The Cup game, whatever it was. Like, there's media falls forward or they're in on it. They might trade Cooper Kupp. He goes out and has Puka plays unexpectedly, and they both have monster games. Like, we probably won't do that now.
He was 7% owned in Showdown that night, and I didn't. And I had 70%. Wow. It's like. Let me tell you, gambling is not just. It's a bad thing to do.
McVay goes to Kupp like, don't worry about it. I'm just going to float this out, and somebody talking about that, and Puka. Nobody's even thinking about it. They both roll out on the field and catch 25 passes.
I think it's real, man. I think I got the sense watching that game and listening to the way the guys talk after. I think it was real. I think they all knew that was the game to stay together. Because if they lost that game, they would have been 3-5. Would have been pretty thin if they lost that game.
Remember the game they lost to Miami on a Monday night a couple of weeks after that? Like they just seem so dead. But
yeah, I mean, they looked terrible in the win over the 49ers, in that rain game. McVay's all wet. He couldn't call any plays that weren't runs up
the first time they beat the 49ers, they stole that game too, very early in the season.
Yeah,
so
that's right.
We're looking at maybe like Green Bay at the Rams, Minnesota at Atlanta, as 2 NFC playoff wildcard games where the road teams could both be favored. Where
are you guys at on Vikings Lions week 18? Because now the Eagles are 0% for the bye, right? They're eliminated from the bye.
They're basically dead.
Because one of those teams will win that game.
Correct.
And Detroit at San Francisco, Minnesota, Green Bay, as always, on week 17.
Yeah, I guess so. Minnesota just has to hit they have to hit like a plus 210 parlay of where they beat Packers at home, Lions at home,
at Detroit.
Okay.
So probably like
and who do the Lions play this week?
Parlay.
San Fran on Monday night.
Dead man walking team.
Kind
of, but I mean they could be frisky.
They did not look. They did
not. What did San Francisco have to offer yesterday?
Right.
That was in the Bills window. So Davis, nothing there.
The 49ers without a functional running back, it's a tough ask. They're down to a guy who would have spent all of training camp like carrying pads around, like shagging punts, is what Patrick Taylor Jr. would have been doing in training camp. He was the RB5 on the practice squad to start the year. Kyle Juszczyk was getting rushes in that game.
Did he do everything yesterday for them, Taylor?
It was Debo, man. It was Debo.
8 for 24, Debo 5 for 25, Purdy 4 for 26. Yeah, not a lot of juice.
No, and it's not the same Debo. It's not the Debo of old.
It sure ain't.
You had the tweet, right, Davis? Like, what was the tweet a couple of weeks ago on him? Something about when there's nothing in the tank or a flat tire or something like that on him.
Oh yeah, squeaky wheel doesn't work on a flat tire. Can't grease a squeaky wheel on a flat tire. And
you had a tweet this morning on Kincaid that I wanted to ask you about. Just like not anything. What was your vibe when it comes to him? What do you mean?
I just saw someone posting in Pete's Discord, 7 targets, 4 catches, 15 yards is like the platonic ideal of the Dalton Kincaid stat line. And I just wanted to look like, has he actually been as bad as everyone in Pete's Discord says he is? Which is honestly mostly fueled by jealousy that Liam keeps winning at best ball. People just hate it. They hate it so much that Liam keeps winning. So they hate on Kincaid. The answer is it's not great, Kincaid's outcomes, but I would say he's definitely not dead in terms of his historical cohort because he's like more yards per game than Vernon Davis, Hawkinson, Todd Heap, Greg Olsen, and Njoku. Tight ends are weird. Tight ends, it's a weird position. It's very hard to be good at that position.
Where do you think Bowers goes?
Sadly, too rich for my blood. I'll be sitting in the cuck chair drafting Trey McBride, insisting it'll finally be the year he scores touchdowns.
1-2 turn, someone said in the chat. I think
1-2 turn.
I think that's probably right.
With Sam Darnold getting paid $40 million a year as his quarterback.
One or 2 picks would be where I would start thinking about Bowers if that happens. But man, that'd be fun.
Kincaid is dynasty tight end. What? I mean, you don't have that many names here that have to come in over him, even without really having done anything.
In dynasty, tight ends tend to be expensive, but I think you want to get off the Kincaids. Maybe you need another year to get some value back in or something, but like he's not it. Kincaid is not it. He's not one of the guys. He might be like a functional tight end for a few more years, and maybe he has but the problem for Kincaid is that his archetype sometimes finds success as like a pure pass catcher with an elite quarterback, but that's where he is now. That's like he's living the dream now. So like, what's the upside for him in 3 or 4 years? Like it's kind of downside. It's like he might be Mike Gesicki or something.
Yeah. Ooh. The only but is that they already have a tight end who does what they want from that position. Dawson Knox has his hand down. They're running the ball great. Well, not great, but they're doing a lot of it, and they're winning all the time.
It's winning football. It's winning football when Knox is on the field.
Right. For years, for like 5 years in a row.
Would you rather have Tucker Kraft or Dalton Kincaid?
Is a fantasy asset or
dynasty superflex?
I'd rather have Tucker Kraft.
Would you rather have David Njoku or Dalton Kincaid? Njoku is 28 years old.
Kincaid is 25. Not super young.
But you guys want a truly phenomenal fact that it doesn't even seem real. Kyle Pitts is a full year younger than Dalton Kincaid.
That's right.
I'd rather have Kincaid than Pitts.
I'd rather have Kincaid. I'd definitely rather have Kincaid. What about old ass Mark Andrews or Dalton Kincaid? Knowing you're getting definitely a year of usable stats out of Andrews, maybe 2.
I would take Andrews on that one. Who knows when he's done? I mean, tight ends can last into their mid-30s.
Well, not Kelsey.
I think with Andrews, what's Andrews' contract status? Because you're actually hoping he becomes literally Zach Ertz and goes to like the Commanders and finishes up his career just like on pure target volume or something.
No shot does that happen. By the way, he and Lamar love each other.
He's younger too. I mean, he's the Lamar draft.
He's gonna either restructure or get cut because his out year is this offseason.
I would kind of be into him getting cut and going somewhere else because they're not giving him full route participation, and I think he has fallen off where he needs
full route participation.
He needs full route participation, like high targets per route run, which he can get. His open score has been pretty good. He's I think let me pull it up. He's first in open score, and he's been first in open score like for like 5 straight years or something. Like his route running is really good, but yards after catch score, tight ends worse than him. Tyler Conklin, Zach Ertz, Evan Ingram, Travis Kelce. Those are the only tight ends worse than Mark
Trade
Andrews.
Mark Andrews to me. Car accident, major injury last year. We do this with other positions. Like, just look, he's 29. I don't know. I'm in.
I need him to accumulate, though. I just think he's in a bad spot for his skill set going forward. Like, I've been a big Andrews guy basically his entire career. So
yep.
It's more about like Lamar, I don't think no longer is like serving what he's going to. A part-time role with Lamar is just like
he's got to score like 12 touchdowns a year to pay off in this role. And now that Derrick Henry is getting 20 touchdowns,
I mean, he's getting there. Like, he scored. How many touchdowns did he have over the last like 8 weeks? It's crazy, but
he's got 9.
Yeah, the ceiling is, even with those touchdowns, like the touchdowns are just getting to where you're like, all right, Andrews paid off this week, but you're not getting any kind of ceiling with him. It's increasingly precarious because they're just not putting him out there all the time.
I think it should trend up. He'd be somebody that I think is go after him in the offseason. Last year in the deep end, Adam and I are always drafting Mark Andrews, like in everything, the pros versus Joes and everything. One time I turned Pat on and he was talking to Jacob, maybe you, Davis, about, investing in Mark Andrews. Like, damn, because people are going to think I'm just copying Pat. Like he's got the bigger audience. But I wasn't. I'm telling you, I wasn't. This year hasn't been as good. Kincaid, so he's almost top 5. Pitts. So we talked about Kyle Pitts.
Here's the deal, though. There's about to be a young man by the name of Tyler Warren, who's like the 17th pick in the NFL draft, and Harold Fannin, who is at Bowling Green State University, had like 1,900 yards as a college tight end. If he's like a 3rd round pick to the Dolphins or something, I might just immediately rather have him than Kincaid, because I know whatever team takes this Fannin guy is not asking him to block. They well know who they are getting.
What's Jonnu then, by the way?
Oh, Loveland, Colston Loveland. He is, I mean, he's Michigan, which is basically the same thing as Iowa. Michigan, yeah, Loveland's Iowa, but good. So that's your new Kittle type.
Is Jonnu also on this list? Interesting next year.
He is 29, I believe.
So the thing with tight end is there's only a couple guys. This is why I like drafting tight ends early, is that there's only a couple guys usually, or this year that felt like maybe there was more, but we were wrong about a number of them. But, McBride was in that group. McBride would very much be like the type of guy who's like a team's number one wide receiver with tight end eligibility. There's only a few people in the NFL who can do that. Right now, it looks like it's Bowers and McBride, I'd say, are like the 2 guys who are going to next year be like a true number 1 wide receiver with tight end eligibility.
Mm-hmm. Laporta's
after
next.
That, what'd you say?
Laporta's next, right? He doesn't have the opening. But
but I don't think he's that guy. I think he's a good NFL player, but he really belongs more in the Evan Ingram, David Njoku kind of group. As we think about like a really good secondary option with tight end eligibility, but that we shouldn't be paying like top 5 rounds for that type of player. I don't think.
Good.
I mean, maybe he has shown a ceiling down the stretch. So, I'm open to arguments, I guess, going on his 3rd year, but yeah, I think if you're paying up, you really want them to be like the primary weapon on their offense and really good. That's where it's worth paying up. The middle class of tight ends is like, it can be a trap because a lot of good tight end seasons end up being kind of circumstance related. We've had lots of like 1-year wonders at the position, the Gary Barnidge type years where like a guy comes in and just absolutely
random
crushes.
Tight ends. Noah Gray has like 7 tight ends, and he's like the tight end 9 or something, and it's like just a total nothing.
Like you can really, it can evaporate. There can be like real mirages at tight end. So Jonnu would be a guy I'd be pretty wary of spending capital. You want to look for Jonnu types when they're free. Yes. Like everything could come together for this guy.
Evan Ingram going to the Jaguars.
Higbee.
Yeah, Evan Ingram going to the Jaguars. I think Gesicki next year, if he resigns with the Bengals and T. Higgins leaves and is like a 16th round pick, like I'll have a lot of him. Like guys who could emerge as really underpriced contributors in good offenses.
Crane.
But I don't want to pay for it.
While we're doing this, that auction league, the famous league that you and I are in.
Yeah.
I had 30 more points per game than every other team in the regular season. I'm gonna lose. I'm not gonna win.
Am I gonna win?
I think Gretch is gonna win because Mahomes started scoring fantasy points
You hate to see it.
in the
You hate to
playoffs.
see
But it's just is so annoying that I literally in this Dynasty League show, my team averaged 198 points per game. No one else in the league more than 175. And
is it best ball or no?
Yes, yeah. It's
Okay.
30-man roster.
You guys don't have time for right.
Oh, no, I'm a sicko. Actually, this is another thing I want to talk about. I want to know what you guys make of this. This is the best year in my life in my home leagues. I won every semifinal I was in, Dynasty, redraft. I won all of them. Is there a lesson there? Am I just bad at best ball? Is it that I could cut Rashee Rice's roster spot in these?
Yeah, I mean that helps.
Is that really as simple as it is?
That definitely helps.
No, don't quit. Never give up. No.
I promise. I'm gonna draft even harder. I only had 1,500 teams this year. 2,500 teams next year. I'm drafting even more.
How about this? So 4 years ago, I got excited about the Empire format where you have to win back to back, and then half the money every year goes into a pot, and you play for 10 years. And there's somebody you guys know is one win. Probably he has to avoid tonight, but he should. One win away from taking it down. Mike Leone.
Yeah, he's made our leagues this way. We transition our. If anyone wins 3 times in a row, our dynasty leagues are over. Yeah,
3 times in a row. Come on, really? That's impossible.
Maybe it's two. Maybe it's two.
That's the Empire format. You put a 10-year limit on it. And if it goes 10 years, nobody wins back to back. You just you give all the money back evenly. But he's 1 win away from taking it all down. Do we like that? You have people in the league that want him to win because their teams seem kind of dead. And
right.
Like,
right.
Well, let's just end it.
They want it over with.
I have to write a $6,000 check. I'm not sure I want it dead, but let's talk about tonight before we wrap. So I mentioned in the open, Kendre Miller. I mean, I was like you guys, I think probably just excited about him, one of these rookies, and it's just been so tough. But here's his opportunity. Should I brace myself for getting buried by Kendre Miller? Their team total is 14. I don't want to stress too hard.
No, I don't think you need to be. If anything, the thing you should be worried about is that the Packers, if you need Packers, like if you need I need 12.7 from Jayden Reed or something, your concern would be Jordan Love is at 5 straight games or 6 straight games with fewer than 30 dropbacks. I believe there are 3 straight games with fewer than 55 offensive plays total. So your concern would be if Ben Sims scores a touchdown on the first drive or something, like you're like in jail. You're like, oh shit. Like I just can't get there.
I need 15.9 from Watson. And if I get it, I will see you both in the mini Schnauzer 6 finals.
All right.
That's no sure thing. And fading Dobbs.
Yeah. I need to check if I'm getting chased down by Jacobs, because that's the guy that scares me here. More than Miller.
I made the mistake of looking at some of my teams yesterday and being like, oh, if I get from Rico Dowdle, was not basically
mental health.
Don't do that. And I knew I had Jalen McMillan on every team I advanced in the big board. So it's like, oh, this is great. Just don't look, man. Just absolutely don't look.
We needed the ship chasing team that we drafted on that first week of Best Ball Mania that made the semis. We needed an Achane touchdown to even kind of be in the hunt, and then we got it. So we then had a Baker double with McMillan and Evans and Dowdle. So we're like, all right, we're live, and then we're not. We weren't. We were not live.
Just easily not live. Just like immediate. Like the thing is, if you think you need it, you're just like immediately dead. You're just like immediately you're not going to win.
Somehow I managed to lose a pick'em Thursday night despite having a Darius Davis touchdown. I don't know.
Ooh, buddy,
lose that.
That is
It hurt.
Unfortunate.
Pat, you're in Delaware with family. What's your Christmas like?
Christmas, we're going to be doing Christmas Eve at my sister's, and my side of the family is all getting together there. And then Christmas, pretty early in the morning, we're going to drive down to my wife's family's place. She lives nearby. We met in New York, but we kind of grew up fairly like within half an hour of each other, ironically. But we're going to be spending Christmas morning with them, but we're down here for like we're down here through almost to the new year. So because my brother and his family are out of the country right now. So we're sticking around till they get back, and we'll see them right before the new year.
Very nice.
So yeah, lots of travel and lots of visiting family.
Davis?
No travel for me. Bless.
Christmas at home?
Yeah, my wife's parents live like in the same neighborhood, and I'm not driving 10 hours to go home for myself. So beautiful.
I live on Grand Island, New York, just north of Buffalo, near the falls. My father, my mother, my two sisters all live on the island. My wife's sister lives on the island, which is kind of random. It's not even that big, but we're all here. It'll be a fun, and football will be on just like it's Thanksgiving. Right?
Oh, it's going to be on. It's going to be on all day, every day.
2 games on Christmas, Wednesday, Thursday night, Seattle, Chicago. 3 on Saturday, Sunday night, Monday night, buckle up.
Yep.
Good luck, everybody. Right. Merry Christmas. Happy holidays. Thanks for being a part of our team here on ADP Chasing. We'll talk to you next week.